A.R. Bernard founded New York's Christian Cultural Center. Today, his church has over 37,000 members. This influential pastor has spent decades teaching and counseling couples. He's witnessed relationships in every stage of life. In his book, 4 Things Women Want from a Man, Pastor Bernard shares what he's learned and helps men and women discover what it takes to have a healthy, lasting relationship.
Well, A.R. Bernard is here with us now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andrew. Good to be with you.
My 10-year-old son saw me reading the book, and he said, "What's that?" I said, 4 things women want from a man. He said, "Is smelling good on the list anywhere?" But I didn't see it in here. What are the 4 things? And let me ask you first, if I may.
Sure.
There could be some women out there who think, what does this gentleman really know about what a woman wants? How do you answer that?
Yeah, and the audacity to tell women that these are the 4 things they want. Well, I will tell you, I've been married for 44 years to the same woman, by the way. It's not an aggregate. And 38 years of ministry. And I had the fortune and blessing of spending time under a mentor by the name of Edwin Lewis Cole, who was considered to be the founder of the men's movement here in the United States. For 18 years, we traveled together and we spoke to audiences. So you learn a few things along the way. But the most important thing is, the number one complaint that women have about men is that men don't listen. So when I finished the manuscript and I gave it to my wife, she read it, she smiled, looked at me and said, "You've been listening." So that's, I think, a degree of credentials.
Before we drill down into each of the 4 individually, give us the collective 4. What are they?
Maturity, decisiveness, consistency, and strength. And I will tell you, this is kind of a backdoor because women don't know what they want, but they do know what they don't want. They don't want a man that's immature, indecisive, inconsistent, or weak. So that's how I came about it.
Is one more important than the other out of these 4?
Maturity is foundational because the other 3 actually build on the foundation of maturity. I cannot tell you, Andrew, how many women, because I've interviewed many, many women for the book as well, I cannot tell you how many women have said to me, "I just wish he would grow up." And, you know, what do they mean by that?
Well, do we have to be serious now all the time?
Well, that's important because you're doing exactly what men do. Wonder, well, what does she mean by that? And then they interpret it.
How do I have to change?
And often the woman doesn't have the words, the language to articulate it. Women are intuitive, but language is not. Language is given. Language is learned. So this gives them the language. And what they merely mean when they say grow up is 2 things. Number 1, responsibility, and number 2, decorum. Responsibility. She wants him to take responsibility for his words, his thoughts, his motives, and his actions. She wants decorum. She wants him to be aware of and know when and how to conduct himself in any given circumstance or situation. Often when men are intimidated by a circumstance or situation, they regress into adolescence. And then they force the woman to become his mother. And then he gets mad because she's mothering him. And the cycle continues.
How about decisiveness? I think that's a lot of men may struggle with that one particularly.
Yeah, and again, we have to talk about the double standard because it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. But a man is expected to be decisive. Decisiveness means the ability to make decisions quickly and confidently. And in order to do that, you have to have a set of values and principles that guide your decision-making process and essentially guide your life.
Okay, so not bossy.
No,
there's a difference between the 2.
There's a difference. Decisive means, again, I've got a set of values. What's most important to me? What do I stand for? What am I willing to pay the price for? What am I willing to die for? Those are my values. And principles are broad and basic truths that require wisdom, judgment, and discernment.
And then, of course, you say it's important to be consistent.
Yes. Women need safety and security in a relationship.
I was surprised safety and security weren't on the list, so to speak, but I guess that's encompassed underneath.
Yeah, those 4 summarize what women want, but there are subsets under each of the 4 elements. And consistency is where a man's values and actions are congruent. See, when he does what he says and does what he believes, the woman finds safety and security in that relationship.
Strength.
Strength. And we're not talking about this macho thing.
But
Not
maybe
at
we
all.
used to talk about that, right? I mean, things have changed a little bit.
Well, yeah, but we misunderstood it because a man usually takes on a very aggressive attitude and posture in a relationship with a woman when he himself is insecure. And he does this thing to secure himself in the relationship. But strength really is the courage to live out your convictions, regardless of any pressure externally that may come to you. This is what I stand for. This is who I am, and this is how I'll live it out. Also, strength affords the man the ability to be gentle and to be kind, because when you're strong, you can be gentle.
If I can just depart a little bit, in all your counseling over the years, I mean, you've counseled a lot of couples struggling. Are there some things that continually are churned up, that the problems you see just over and over again in a marriage?
I will tell you the answer is yes. Communication. That's a big, big problem because, as I said, women complain that men don't listen. Communication is not in your ability to speak, it's in your ability to listen. And listening is an art. And it should involve all of you, your eyes, your attention, your body posture, all of that. And women are intuitive. They know right away when a man is not listening.
And I guess some of it comes down to that basic thing of a man feels like when his wife is expressing herself, what she's dealing with, struggling with the problem, he wants to solve it, right? Here's what we're going to do, 1, 2, 3. And maybe she's not looking for that.
And he collects just enough data to bring his solution. And that's a scenario.
So is that part of the not listening? Maybe the man says, I got it. I hear you. Here's what we're going to do. But
Let me give you a scenario, okay? So the woman comes, because women deal with things by collaboration. So it's about sharing information. So a woman comes to her husband and she says, I want to share something with you. This is a problem I'm dealing with. And she starts to talk. He's listening, but he's gathering just enough data so that he can come up with a brilliant solution that he'll offer her. So when he thinks he's got enough data, he stops and he interrupts her and he gives her his answer. Now she politely stops and she listens. And then she picks up right where she left off and keeps talking. But he is now shocked because she's rejecting his brilliant solution. And then he begins to withdraw himself, wondering why. And then she picks his withdrawal up and she says, that's why I don't like to talk to you, because you don't listen.
And it continues and continues and continues.
Yes.
And then husband and wife come into the next experience where that's going to happen with these expectations of what will occur because last time is that.
Yeah, men and women are different.
Yeah.
Not just physically, but psychologically, socially, emotionally, intellectually. Men deal with things differently than women deal with things. Men deal with things through strength, cunning, and performance. Women deal with things through intuition, experience, common sense, and collaboration.
Love the book. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
The book is called 4 Things Women Want from a Man. The author is Pastor A.R. Bernard. You can get a copy in stores nationwide.